Well, if it isn't our old friend JMBricklayer. Yes, we're building another kit. This is the Age of Exploration, the Black Pearl. Part of the Civilization Medieval Times series. This is got 1,713 pieces, and it's for ages 14 and up. Now, the Black Pearl, of course, is a fictional pirate ship from the Pirates of the Caribbean film, although not explicitly said so here. It is kind of evoking that ship from that movie. But pirate ships are cool. Yeah, that's all I can say. The box is cool. Pirate ships are cool. Let's check it out. So you can see here the parts are in numbered bags, numbered and color-coded. Although, oddly enough, there's twos that are yellows and then a blue two. And then there are threes that are red and then a yellow three. And then these are all fours and those are all fives. And there's some things in black bags, which I think is maybe wiring for light. So here's where we are after bags 1 and 2. And we've actually got a fair amount of the ship built already, which is pretty cool. This is about how long it's going to be. A lot of cool features already being surfaced. You have steering wheel. It's a treasure chest with little gems in there. You got the cannons, which do move up and down. And those are spring-loaded type cannons that you can pull back and shoot out whatever's in there. But obviously there's not a lot of room to get your hands in to use this pullback action, but they exist. There's lights, so you can see the first can lights come in, and you can see the cables being fed underneath. You have a door to what I'm guessing is the captain's chambers. You have lights. These are going to light up as well. You have the desk here, and you can see again the wires kind of run in and hang out the back here. So it's gone together really well. I've made a couple of mistakes on my part, but I'm leaving them alone just because I didn't have the best light and I was confusing gray and black. So there were a couple of very small gray blocks where there should be black blocks. But otherwise, I've had all the parts. Nothing's been missing. Everything's going well. One of these is in my box here. I got to add that. A little parrot here, which is kind of cool. A little globe, a little quill with a feather, and a hat here. And here's one thing I actually want to bring up at this juncture is that some of the accessories, like in these little bins, are harpoons, and there's a hat over here that hangs on a thing. They're just there. They just sit there. They're not attached to anything. So if you have to tilt this over to attach a piece in a certain way, those pieces gonna fall out. So just be careful with that knowledge that that does and could happen. Talk. I just finished the number 3 bags. I very nearly threw this thing across the room a couple of times. And maybe my frustration will help you not be frustrated. What happens is that you build this whole you build the walls on either side, and you build the top section, and then you have to put them together, right? So it connects here, connects under here, and it connects here under this stuff. But putting the pressure on this area, if you're not exactly lined up, the whole thing shatters and explodes. This whole thing I've rebuilt this 3 times, and it's from trying to get this to all close properly. What also happens is that the system is relying on these little gold dots to hold all of these panels together. And if you've built any number of Lego sets, you know that that is a shitty way to connect things. So I broke out the Craggle, and I craggled some of this. I'm not proud of it. I'm sure I could have gotten it to stay without it, but I'm old and my patience is small, and that's just a thing that's happening. This whole thing here, This was for me not great. But I got all the wires down, and there is a part of the instructions that say to remove the two-sided tape here to attach it. There is no two-sided tape here. I don't think this is going to come off. I don't think there's a layer of tape here. I think this is a circuit board substrate, and there's no tape here. So yours might have tape. There may be a piece of tape somewhere in the packaging that I haven't found yet. It doesn't really say. So what we're going to end up doing is finding something to glue this kind of underneath here. So the electronics will kind of be up and out of the way. That part, not great. So here is the Black Pearl. It was a challenge. I'll say it's a challenge. You know, I am not what you would call an expert Lego builder. I am a little clumsy. I have ADHD. I sometimes miss parts and instructions. You know, but generally I'm okay to get most things done well. And I did most of the things well here, but there are some build issues. So before I get into the issues, let's talk about like the features, right? So first of all, it's pretty big. You have, I don't know, from tip to tail, 23 inches long by 16 inches tall, probably like 8 inches wide or so. It's a big kit. It's got presence. There are no wheels. There's no stand. There's these little, you know, rounded bumps that it can rest on, but that's fine. It's a really interesting and design for me. I haven't built a lot of ships, only a couple, so some techniques I was familiar with. But all these tubes were interesting. I haven't cut the lengths off these strings. I think it adds to the decrepitness of it, but you're supposed to cut the tails off these strings. There were a lot of strings and a lot of tubes and a lot of tying, and I wasn't really prepared for all the seamstressing I would have to do. Each of these tubes are flexible tubes that you are all the same size, so you have to cut them to length, as you do with the rope as well. So my advice there, measure twice, cut once, because you can see here some are bowing a little bit because I measured what I thought was the appropriate amount, but only when you put them together to the pieces, they get a little compressed, okay? Lesson 2 is in the lighting. The way that the lighting works here is there are multiple points of light here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 LED lights, I think. And they're all attached with a red and black wire, and they go in and then they go through and they all come out in the back here. And this is actually tape here, and I'll explain that in a moment. You hide these by kind of wedging the wires underneath bricks, between bricks, etc., which has caused problems because 3 of these lights now no longer work, and my guess is because they got pinched somewhere in the brick process, but I am too far in this to sort that out. So I'm just going to have 3 lights not working because I am not going to rebuild this to get those out. I'm just not that invested in it. But the lights do look cool. So there, you know, it does light up really well. There's lanterns in the front. So this is one of the ones that doesn't work, and these 2 middle flames ones don't work. And I also found, interestingly, that when you plug in a non-working light to the circuit board in the back, none of the lights work. So I thought initially that my circuit board was garbage, but no, it was just faulty wires. The next thing I want to mention about the electricity is that circuit board, just like a long board that they all plug into, and the instructions say, like, use the 2-sided tape and stick it to the bottom. But I got no 2-sided tape, so I'm just using electrical tape just for the sake of display here. But it would have been nice if this whole thing was encased in some kind of box that you just didn't see. Also, that this power supply box was also worked into the model somewhere. I would rather have this tucked into this stateroom than a detailed stateroom, because odds are I'm not going to open this that often. This takes 3 AA batteries, and it's a USB plug, so you could plug it into some other USB source if you want as well. And there's a little switch to turn it on and off. So, again, the lighting Looks cool when it's working, but man, it was a pain to get all of these lights to work. There are a lot of cool details, though, I will say. You know, the steering wheel, there's like little swords and buckets. The cloth sails are cool. There is another working wheel down here. There's a working door into the stateroom, the captain's room, whatever you want to call it there. All of these cannons, in theory, are working cannons in that they have that pull-back spring-loaded mechanism, so you could put something in there, a cannonball, but one, the design has no clearance to pull the cannons back, and two, no cannonballs are included. There's a lot of cool detail on the floor. There's buckets, there's little buckets of spears and things, and I guess those are maybe supposed to be the cannonballs to go in, but they're just little round pieces. But again, like those little spears and stuff, you've turned this thing on its side, those spears go flying, and now you got to fish them out to a thing. And you can see kind of the wires here too, how you have to kind of bring them in, around, and under, and they come to the middle, and then they go into these studs here, and they go into a hole in the middle and come out the back. It's a whole thing. And this is the inside of the stateroom. And, you know, the wires just kind of like fall through these holes. They don't really get like attached anywhere, but you can see there's some cool detail in there, and the light does light up from the ceiling, so you can see a little bit more. So that's kind of cool. You can see the light there. But there's a desk, a parrot, a hat, and again, like I just glued some of this in place because trying to maneuver these areas and not knock over that frickin' parrot. The naysayers who are like, oh, you shouldn't super glue your kits together or whatever, like, I don't know, man. If you're a person who like plays with these and like once this is built, it goes back into a box and you tear it apart and build something else, yeah, don't glue it. But you might not have a good time. But if they're these little tiny pieces, just make your life a little easier. And that goes with any kit. This isn't endemic to this kit. This is just brick building in general. That if you're making a display model and its idea is that it's just going to live on as that model, just glue it. Just glue parts together that are giving you a hard time because it's not worth your mental anguish. So lastly, I'm going to go on to another topic. And again, this is a problem that this build has, but also like other builds have that come from China, right? And I know some of these are like MOCs that companies from China will just take and produce, right? Like someone uploaded a design and someone just grabs it and makes it. Some of these are original designs. But a lot of them have this, I'm going to call this technique, one stud is fine. You know, like, and I think on a regular Lego build, they would have much more secure connections to some things. But with a lot of these, they basically go, one stud is fine. It doesn't matter if the whole design hinges on this one peg. It works in theory, and so therefore one stud is fine. Like, so for example, the base of this mast, like, is just a 4-stud plate, basically, right? Like, as this whole mast, it sits on that. There's no stud coming through the floor with any kind of weight that locks together. No, literally, it's just, you know, that's it, right? So you're going to bump that, and it's going to come off all the time. These landings here are so weirdly constructed, like they're made through like 3 layers of like 2x1s and 3x1 plates. And then they just sort of sit on these weirdly rotating platforms that they just doesn't make any sense. It's way too fragile. I know like it's a rickety looking design, but again, like why this, let's do a little better. Same thing down here with these things on the side. So these plates here, there's one stud with a little hinge connector, and then these plates on the outside lay on one stud on the other side of those. So ultimately, like, they never line up right. They never feel secure. You bump them and they come off. Again, like, you could have used a bar of 6 here, right? Put 3 pieces and then another bar of 6, and you know, or a 4 and a 1, you know, like ways that you could have made this design a lot more sturdy. But again, like, that's not how these were designed, because I think they were designed by fans and not sort of engineers, right? So while these things look great, they are not very sturdy. But ultimately, you know, these kits are a way to get things that aren't produced by big brick manufacturers. You get some really interesting designs, And you're not going to sacrifice on brick quality, because I will say that these bricks are of fantastic quality. I don't feel like these are cheap or defective in any way. They're really, really well done quality. I think the where this gets let down a little bit is in the build itself. That is just some of these connections are a stretch that might be illegal in proper Lego building, and it had moments that were really frustrating for me. As someone who's built hundreds of Lego type kits in my life, I still kind of go, what are you thinking with this? A different builder might feel differently. I don't know. If you like pirate ships, this is going to look great on your shelf. Just got to have patience. And now I know, and now you know, that be careful with your wires. And when the instruction says for you to kind of push them down and under, make sure you have enough slack so you're not getting tugged from one side to the other, that kind of thing. And if the lights all don't work, check in by one, because it's probably just a wire on a light that is causing the whole thing to not work. Overall, a cool enough kit, a few missed opportunities, a few weird design choices, but at the end of the day, it does look good. If you are interested in this kit, you can click on the link below and purchase one, and it goes to support the channel, of course. And at the end, there's a link to our other building block kits that show many other JMBricklayer products. So please feel free to go look at those as well. And thanks again to JMBricklayer for saying this over, and we'll see you again soon.